And we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another live session on the Learn to Draw Manga YouTube channel. Hi, everyone. I see that we already have a couple of people in chat. Hi, James. Hi, LA Rat. Hello again. Welcome again to another one of our live streams. Hi, Liz. Hi, Alex. Hi, Pseudo. Hi, Paul. Welcome. I think Paul is another repeat viewer. Hello again, you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining another one of our live streams today. Really happy to see you guys. Really happy to be here and really excited to see so many of our lovely subscribers. And I'm also super pumped for our conversation today, and I hope you guys are too. I've actually been posting about it on our community page for a while now, so I hope you guys are excited. And yeah, how are you guys doing? Where are you guys tuning in from? Like, let us know where you guys are from. What time is it there? Is it early? Is it late? I'd love to know. And it's always nice seeing where everyone's from and just like shouting you guys out. So let me know. Anime lover from Idaho. It's 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. Liz, USA, it's 8 p.m. Pals, Malaysia, it's 8 a.m. Sans, it's 2 a.m. Goodness, thank you so much for tuning in so late. Really appreciate you, Sans. Who else? Weber, Nigeria, it's 1 a.m. Again, thank you so much for tuning in so late. A lot of people tuning in late then. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate you guys being here with us then. Fernando from New York, it's 8 p.m. Okay. Hi, Fernando. Paul from Indiana, it's also 8 p.m. Hello, Paul. All right. All right. Oh, thank you so much, pals. I'm glad you feel that way. LA Rat, my power went out just as it started. That's just rotten luck then. I'm sorry, I'm teasing. Hopefully you're just fine where you're tuning in from. Anacle, hello, Anacle. Hello, Jennifer. Hello again, Jennifer. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining us again. Sans, never too late to learn. That is true. That is true. I respect that. Thank you, Sans. All right. Your life has such remarkable bad timing. Hello, Herb. Hello, Herb. Thank you so much for joining us. Just Nerdy. Okay, it's Just Nerdy's first live stream, and they're from Indiana. It's 8 p.m. Hello, thank you so much for joining us. It's always nice to have new people join us. So I hope you're excited for your first live stream then, Nerdy, and I hope you learn a lot. So, that said, I want to ask you guys something real quick before we get started, right? So, have you guys ever struggled to make manga um for months, for years, or maybe you just started like a couple of weeks ago, and since then, since you started, have you ever struggled learning how to make manga? And have you ever thought that you weren't good enough to make manga? And have you ever wanted to make manga but thought, I'm not an artist, or I don't even know where to start? If this is you, just let me know, or just raise a hand in chat. I want to see some hands if any of this is you, or if any of this, or if you've ever thought like this at some point. Just let me know. Sans, yeah. Pseudo says, yeah. Yes. Okay. Anacle, yeah, I don't even know how to draw. Yeah, well, that's a start. That's a good start, though. Who else? I'm good at storytelling, just not drawing. Anime lover, yeah. I know a lot of people who can relate to that. um, Paz has tried for 2 years. Wow, 2 years. I hope you've gotten some things done in that time period, though. I think it's important that even though you're not satisfied with where you are, it's still important to put in the work, right? And just keep trying. So hopefully you've like done a couple of things in that time. I'm studying other manga, says Raquel. All right. Celestial, I started about a month ago. I've written 8 chapters and I'm about to start art school next week. Wow, congrats, Celestial. That's really nice. Not a lot of people get the opportunity to go to art school, so I hope you enjoy it. Um, Jennifer has been struggling forever. Yeah, aren't we all? um, LA Rat, I'm too young to publish. Yeah, that is gonna be um a bit of a challenge there, especially if you're not of legal age. So yeah, you gotta wait until you're older. I'm practicing my sketches and doing my story writing. That's good, Raquel. That's really good. I'm good at art story, not so much. Again, I know a lot of people who can relate. All right. So I think you guys can see just how many people can relate to the struggles that you've gone through or are going through on your journey to learning how to make manga, right? Because I assume since you guys are here with us today watching this live stream, you all have an interest in manga or making manga and want to learn how to do it yourselves and actually perhaps some of you want to pursue this seriously, right? And actually turn it into a career, all right? So if you guys hate it when you get down and you're struck with a sense of self doubt, and it's what's keeping you from starting something that you've always dreamed of doing, right? That's making manga. Then our guest tonight knows that feeling all too well, right? So earlier this year, our student Michael had never made a single manga page, even though he'd loved manga since he was a kid, and he kept telling himself like I'm gonna start when I'm good enough, right? But something changed. So after joining our program like back in March, Michael finally took action, and since joining us in just 2 months, he's already created his first manga. He's created a couple more mangas along the way, yonkomas, short mangas, and even entered a manga contest, right, in the short period that he's been with us. And yeah, since then, he's been working on even bigger projects, including a 20 to 30 page one shot, all while balancing his career in aviation. Yes, you guys, he knows how to fly a plane, and also his life as a husband, right? And tonight we'll hear how Michael overcame his doubts, what he's learned from our pro mangaka mentors, and how it's been like learning how to make manga these past couple of months. Okay, so please make sure to stay until the end for the Q&A. If you guys have any more questions for Michael after the interview, make sure to save them for the very end because we will be taking in questions from the audience. And if you want to know how you can work with pro Japanese manga artists yourself, then also make sure to stay until the end, all right? I'm going to tell you exactly how you can do it. So, if you're watching live, welcome. Again, welcome. I hope you guys stick around. And yeah, I hope you guys are settled in. And because I'm going to bring in Michael. All right, hello. Michael, can you quickly introduce yourself to our lovely YouTube audience?
Hello, hello, good evening. My name's Michael. I'm 27, and like how Candace has said, I am a flight instructor. I have my CFI, my CFII, my MEI. I recently got out of the Marine Corps Reserve, and right now I'm working as a test technician in aerospace, uh, checking parts and through repair and overhaul, and making sure that they're good to go before they're reinstalled in the plane and that the plane is safe to fly. And the most important thing is that I am a husband and hopefully soon a father sometime next year.
Right. Thank you so much for for that, Michael, and welcome. I hope I hope you feel um settled. I hope you feel ready for a conversation today. You guys, can we give like a warm round of applause for Michael real quick? Let's just warm up the chat for him just to welcome him. Let's welcome Michael. Say hi to Michael in chat. We'd love to see it. So let's get into it, okay? So what was the first thing that got you interested in manga, if you can recall? Because I know you'd been interested in it like since you were a kid, right? So, what got you interested in the first place, and what attracted you to just manga, the format itself?
Well, it's I think it took like a series of events. So when my family would visit Hong Kong a lot because my yaya, my nai they lived there, and we found these VHS tapes of Studio Ghibli, and I think it was like Valley of the Wind. I think was the very first one I ever remember watching. And
Nice.
I remember being like so taken away at like, I don't even know, like 3, 4 years old by it.
Mm,
And, we just loved and adored those films. And I think that naturally led to things like, where we would watch, I think anime on the old school days of YouTube, and on pirated sites like Naruto and Bleach and One Piece. And I think the family favorite, at least amongst the boys, was Dragon Ball.
mm,
And and just through exposure to those things, I think naturally I just found like, oh, manga, this cool thing. And at first just like, oh, there's even more Naruto that isn't out yet that you can read about. And I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. And so you just start reading that, and it just became a staple, for like, type of media consumption in the household. We just been reading that, for
mm,
well over 2 decades now, I guess. So
mm. Okay.
but,
So that said, like, had you kept reading manga since then, or was it like an on and off type of thing over the years?
I it's I definitely I definitely kept up with it. I wouldn't say like, oh, I was
Mm,
reading it every day, but maybe every year I would read at least like a couple of series. And yeah, I'd
yeah.
keep up with it. It's just always been in my life. I've definitely
Mm.
read way too many trash isekai manga to keep count, that I don't even remember their names anymore, what they're even about. Or
Right.
and of course the more popular ones. I think the last one I read that really was like really stuck with me was Vinland Saga. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
that was the last stick out one that I read.
All right. So it's safe to say it since childhood, it's something that's always been in your life, right? That you've always like found the time to do, at least like find the time to do manga. I read manga or found the time to like watch anime and just like stay connected to that format, you know? So before like joining the program, have you ever tried making a manga before over the years?
No, I never once tried. I never made any form of like sequential art at all. Just
Mm.
because, um, I never thought I was good enough to do it. I never thought my art skills were good enough. And for the longest time, and sometimes I still catch myself saying, it's like, I can't really draw. So why
Oh,
would I do something that I can't do?
yeah.
So I always put myself down before I even attempted it. So,
Yeah.
and
And I think a
it's just,
yeah.
go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, go ahead, sorry. I was
Oh,
interrupting.
it was just one of those things where it's like, maybe one day I'll get to it. Maybe one day I'll feel confident. And
Mm,
it's just one of those things that like it never happened. And I was
mm,
started thinking about it when I was like, what, 5, and now I'm 27. So
mm. Okay. So I think a lot of people in our audience can definitely relate to that like dilemma where you want to start something, but you're held back by this idea that, oh, maybe when I'm better, or maybe one day, I'm not ready now, or I'm not good enough to start it now, right? And we're gonna get into that later once we actually get into like your journey and how you finally started, started learning. But before that, just what were some of the biggest roadblocks you feel aside from like the mindset that you felt like, oh, I'm not ready or I'm not good enough. What other roadblocks do you feel you had when you tried to learn how to make manga? Did you ever try learning by yourself before this or not?
No, I think it was I never tried before this, and
Mm,
it was always because of like I said earlier, it was the
yeah.
self doubt.
Yeah.
And every time like I would think to try it, it's always like, oh, am I just fooling myself? Am I actually just garbage? Like, will I ever be able to improve to the
Yeah.
next thing?
Mm-mm.
And I think like
But
I try to watch. Oh, go ahead.
yeah.
I'm
But
sorry.
before this, you had been drawing, right? Like you knew how to draw.
Uh, I, yeah, I like quotations in the air, like drew, right? I
Yeah.
doodled, but it was like I've drawn probably the same headshot at the same angle,
Yeah.
like a bunch of times. And I think most of the drawing, when I think about like when did I really start learning how to draw, like most of the drawing that I've done, like 90% of the drawing I've done has probably been in the last like 5 months or at least the
Mm.
last year, is when I really
Mm.
sat down and told myself, I am going to learn, like whether my eyes bleed or I want to eat or bite off my fingers, like I am
Yeah.
going to do this. So
Oh yeah. Okay. So prior to this, it's just been a lot of doodles then, unfinished stuff, illustrations, nothing storytelling wise, right? Not a lot of sequential
yes.
art, as you said. So I guess at that point, when you were drawing like these illustrations and when you were drawing these doodles, had you ever had a thought of like properly finishing them and just like rendering them, or would you just get to this point and just drop it? Like what was your mindset going through that?
I always get to the point and just drop it. My wife
Ah.
always asks me like, "Oh, why don't you finish it?" And I always say, "Well, I can't. Like, I can't do it." You know, it's it always be um, I just didn't have the confidence to continue. It's just like I got in my comfort
Mm,
zone, right? I'd push
mm,
my comfort zone just a little bit, and then I would just stay nestled up in there for like a long time. And I think that's what really prevented me from growing for a
mm.
very long time.
Yeah, and I think I want to bring up one of our YouTube audience just said W wife, which is yeah, exactly. W for a very supportive wife. They get it. All right. So that said, what made you decide to finally make manga, right? So you'd been talking about all of these roadblocks, all of these like issues with having a lack of confidence, just not feeling like you were there yet or that you were ready to actually start. So what made you decide to finally start?
Um, I think it was a point where I just got like fed up feeling bad for myself.
Yeah.
It's like I can only feel so bad for myself before I feel sick about feeling bad for myself. And I was looking. I think it was probably around February or March where I was looking at my life, and I was like, man, I've done all these things in my life because other people kind of wanted me to do that, right? So I joined the Marine Corps. Basically, what it essentially came down to like a dare. I talked to the recruiter because I felt bad that he was like standing by himself all alone in high school, and then like 6 years later, I'm a sergeant. I'm leading 30 doofuses, and I'm just like,
Oh
oh my
wow. That
gosh,
was
how
all
did
it
I get
took.
here?
That
That's
was
all
all
it
it
took. It's all it took. He's like, I want you to do this. I dare you to do this. And I'm like, okay, sure. I'll sign my life away. I'm
All
too much of
right.
a people pleaser.
Oh.
But and then the whole pilot thing was because it was my father's idea, and he suggested it. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really have that many plans after high school or after I'm done with training, done with the Marine Corps. So I guess I'll do it. And I had this point where it's like, man, I just want to do something for myself for once, right? I want to do something that I'm proud to do, that I chose to do, and that
Mm,
I can do it because I persevered to do it. And talking about the W wife, my wife always every time she saw my doodles, she was like, "Man, you're talented. Like, I think this is what you're meant to do." And I'm like, "You're crazy. You're a crazy woman." Um, and she would ask me to draw things for her, and I'd very reluctantly do it. I ended up drawing two of her tattoos that she took to her tattoo artist to get stenciled. That she got. One of them was like a butterfly, and another one's
Mm.
some cherubs flying off into the sky. And the artist told my wife, is basically said, Michael's actually very good, and it would be a shame if
Oh.
he never did anything with it. And
Oh.
I think when she told me that, when I heard that, and I had been feeling that, it was just a perfect storm. Like, it would really be sad if I got to a point in my life where it was just like, wow, I really wish I had. Now it's too late, because I can't make up the time that I lost, right? So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna bite the bullet. I'm just going to do it. I'm just gonna put in everything I can to get it done.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did. I'm certain a lot of um the people in our program, your fellow students are glad you did. Our coaches are certainly glad you did. I mean, just so you guys know, so our audience knows, like Michael, our coaches really love Michael and they love Michael's work and they've been singing his praises in the pro to me and in the program. So yeah, it's not it's we're all happy that you've gotten to this point and you're here. So yeah, let's give Michael like a round of applause, you guys. It just I feel like that deserves like a round of applause in chat. And with that said, like if it makes you feel better, right? 27 is young to start, honestly. I mean, I don't know, but I've
Mhm.
read a lot of mangakas, not a lot, but there is like a section of mangakas that started when they were properly in their 30s already.
Mm.
And they didn't debut until they were like late 30s or early 40s already. And I even read about some mangakas who didn't debut until they were like 60, 70, that area. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
if you guys know Osama ranking or Ranking of Kings, if you guys know that manga or if you've seen the anime, it's great. It's a great show. I do recommend you guys watch it. The mangaka behind that actually debuted. I hope I'm getting this right. I hope I'm remembering this right. He debuted when he was 78, I believe. And the whole time prior to that, I think for his 20s and 30s, he'd just been trying to get his manga out, but he'd never gone anywhere. No one wanted to take a chance on him, so he just gave up and became like a salaryman, like for a good while before he took it up again, already in his 70s, right? So it's just a matter of timing, I guess. Like if at least when it comes to learning, you can learn anytime you want. But when it comes to like getting published, right? And taking a chance and taking your shot. I mean, taking your shot at putting your work out there, it's a lot of it is luck and a lot of it is perseverance and determination. And I forget the mangaka's name. I feel bad, but the mangaka behind Osama Ranking, he never stopped drawing though. That was the thing. He may have given up on trying to get his work out there, but he never stopped drawing, he never stopped creating, and it came to a point where he made Ranking of Kings, and then that finally got him published, right? So it took a while, but it finally got him out there. So all that to say, it's important that you keep your passion for creation alive, right? So a lot of people when they give up on art entirely as well. Like they give up trying to get their manga out there and they also give up just drawing entirely. And I know some of the students in our program had a point in their journey where they stopped drawing for like a good 5 years. That was our student Joe. Stopped drawing for a good 5 years before he picked it up again because he saw one of our videos. which was nice. So it's important that you always keep that passion alive, right? So you try to find time for it in your day to day, and you try to doodle as our guest Michael here has done over the years. He'd been doodling over the years, and he'd kept his interest in manga and anime over the years, and he'd never like disconnected himself from it, you know. And that got him here in our program. So you never know what's going to happen, you guys. So as long as you just keep that passion alive and you keep trying, you are going to get somewhere at some point, you know. So I've been rambling, but moving on then, you guys. For you, Michael, like, what was your first big win or milestone in the program that made you feel, oh, I can really do this?
I think I think the first big win was probably just like the first Yonkama and the first two page that I did. I think the one that I submitted for the competition was probably the first big win because um like it was the first time where I kind of just broke past all the self-doubt for a little bit, and I just told myself I'm going to put my head down and I'm not going to stop until I finish it, because I think the competition was in like 3 days when I learned about it. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, well, I guess this is going to happen right now. And so I just put my head down and I did it. And I was like, okay, this is not good, obviously, but that's fine. That's fine. I actually reached the finish line for once, right? I actually
Yeah.
said I was going to do something and I did it. And I think that really changed my relationship with the with my art, because in that I learned to enjoy the process, and not every time that I started something, like when I start something, I'm not expecting a certain outcome or a certain result. I just want to be able to make sure that I get to the end,
Yeah.
and that process is enjoyable, just making that journey, no matter what the destination ends up being. That's fine. And I think that was the first time that I really learned that and really internalized it. And because every time I drew, I'd always be upset and I'd hate myself for it. But I think that was the first time where I drew and I was like, you know what, it's not the best, but I learned something, and I'm happy that I was able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, sure. I mean, I think a lot of people, when it comes to like their first try at anything, right? It's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be their best. But what's important is that the sense of accomplishment that you get when you actually finish it, right? So you learn something and you also finish something. That's two things. So I think it's having that sense of accomplishment, that first sense of accomplishment is what really lights a fire for some people. It's like, okay, once they finish the first thing, like making the next couple of things after that, the next couple of projects after that gets easier, you know? So it's always important to get that first project out of the way, and just not ponder on it for too long, because that's something that a lot of beginners get stuck on, right? The very first project they make, very first manga they make, they're stuck on trying to make it perfect because it's their first, right? There's always the dilemma of perfectionism that a lot of beginners have, that the whole reason why they never like make any serious progress is because they're stuck trying to perfect like their first couple of projects instead of trying to make as many projects as they can and just getting that practice in, right? So yeah, it's really important that you just get that first project done, because that way the next ones are going to be much easier to do, much easier to go through, right? And for you, Michael, you'd already finished a two-page manga. I mean, just 2 months after joining the program, right? So, what was the hardest part about that?
I think the hardest part is definitely the blank page and looking at it and thinking like, what the heck am I supposed to do here? I don't know what the heck to do. And then you start like doing one thing at a time, and you realize like all these fundamentals that you thought you had, or just like the idea, the perception that you had of the process, you actually don't know like all the little
Yeah.
steps in between when it comes to like, oh, like, thumbnailing, and then the first draft, and then oh, how am I going to put things into perspective? Oh, actually, how do I place speech bubbles? I see them all the time, but I don't actually know what I'm doing with them. And it's like stumbling into everything for the first time and then being like just absolutely lost. Like, what do I do? Um, and really the only way to get over it was like, well, just do it, right? You're going to do it wrong, so you might as well just like get it out of the way, so that you can have a starting point to like look at like, oh, okay, as long as I go this way in this direction, I can improve this later.
Yeah.
um so
And what was the most fun for you? That's it.
I think the most fun is always the thumbnailing the first draft, really just getting a feel, playing around with like different scenes and playing around with the paneling. I find the ideation process of putting the images down, to probably be the most enjoyable, because I think it's like the biggest most visual leap, that you see in the project.
Right.
So that's definitely the most fun, for
Yeah.
me.
So like speaking of just thumbnailing and drafting, right? Let's just call it storyboarding.
Mhm.
So how fast do you say you could go through a storyboard? Not to like compare, but I'd love to know, because everybody's storyboarding process is different. Some people they do spend a lot of time on storyboarding because that is the point where you just have to keep going back and forth through your storyboard before you finalize it. But for you, like how do you tackle the storyboard?
Um, Usually, I want to go pretty quickly because I want to see a bunch of different ideas. I want to see a bunch
Yeah.
of different storyboards to figure out what I like. And at first, when I started, though, I think the first two-page I made, I think I spent like I spent 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours on like a single panel, just like, oh, does this look right? And I was just like, okay, I can't do this. I'm going to die of old age before I
Yeah.
finish like a 20-page chapter. So it's like, let's just start putting it down. So I think like the Uma Musume one, and the Magical Girl one, and uh, those ones only took me like an hour to get through all four panels to like just like get a storyboard that I liked. This one, I think I did this whole storyboard for this one in 10 minutes for both
Wow.
pages. And so usually, I try not to take too long, because it's just after a while you just get stuck in your own ideas, or you're trying to make something work that doesn't. So I usually like to move on. I don't like to get stuck for too long.
Yeah. So what? Sorry, I just lost my train of thought real right there. So after like making these two pagers, these yonkomas, right?
Mhm.
I'm sure you had them checked by our mentors or by our coaches, right? So what do you feel was the main takeaway you would get usually when you get your work checked? I think just the process of getting your work checked and reviewed, how is that like for you? Yeah, that's the question.
I mean, it's always, my heart is always beating out of my chest when it comes to that, because it feels like, oh, this is a little bit of me that I'm putting out there, and what if they don't like me? But I think for the most part, it's replaced with like, well, I really want to know what I can do to get better, because looking forward to the next thing that I can improve on is really exciting. I think the main takeaway is that my Kisho Tenketsu is not so great, but it's not so good. Is usually the main takeaway. I feel like the coaches gas me up on my drawings a lot, and I'm like, okay, um, but I
I
know
mean,
I can
for good
improve it.
reason, though. For good reason.
Yeah, that's getting there. That's getting there one day.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so but usually it's the storytelling part, and it's usually like the small details, like, oh, your speech bubbles, you should have split up these sentences, all these sound effects, you really should do it like this way. um when it are usually like the main things. Oh, explanation for this, oh, this wasn't very clear. So a lot of it is like the best way to get the story across so that the reader can understand is usually
Yeah.
the main critiques because really in the beginning, and I probably still am today, I'm kind of just like putting things down and
Yeah.
I don't fully understand every aspect of what it is that I'm doing,
Mm.
or the reasoning why I'm doing it. And so I think those are usually the main takeaways that I get
Mm.
for my two pagers.
Mm. So after like having to go through that back and forth for like a good while, right, while being in the program, you got to a point where you actually joined, sorry, not considered, but you actually joined a contest, right? So it was a two-page manga contest. So what inspired you to join, and like how did you feel about submitting something for that?
Um, I I mean, I was really proud to submit it. I think wait, it was like a spur of a moment. It was like an impulse thing. I think it's either Coach Kana or maybe Nico. I'm
Mm.
not sure if he was around then, but
Mm.
um, it was just saying, hey, this contest is coming up. No, I think you should do it. And I'm like, wow, that's in 3 days. Sure. Like, it's like I felt so much time pressure. And I guess this is really like the benefit of having like a time set schedule when to get things done. I
Yeah.
felt so much pressure to like get it done that I was like, forget my doubts. If I spend too long like doubting myself, I'm not going to be able to submit this for the competition at all. So I just need to do it. I just need to figure it out, accept, what things look like, and then move on. Take a note what I feel like went wrong and just improve it later throughout the process. So, did that answer your question? I think I
Yeah.
lost track of the question
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah. I think basically it's just okay, you were presented with this opportunity. You had 3 days, right?
Yeah,
Left to submit. And you were just like, okay, I'm just going to do it. Right.
yeah.
And I think what a lot of what separates people who make progress from people who are stuck is that people who make progress um just do it. I know
Mm-hmm.
it's become like a marketing thing. It's like it's a tagline for like a brand, right? It's a tagline for Nike, but it
Yeah.
is like true, right? Like you don't get anywhere unless you actually just start and actually just do it, you know? And that's what separates a lot of people who make progress and a lot of people who are successful from people who are just stagnant and stuck is that if you actually want to get anywhere and if you actually want to make progress, you got to challenge yourself. And that often means like taking a leap of faith every now and again, as many leap of faith as you can, and just spontaneously joining a contest without any preparation, that's a leap of faith, you know? I mean, I think it's so I think it is inspiring that you did take that leap of faith and you were just thinking, okay, I just want to do it. I just want to get this done, whatever the outcome, right? And did you get into that contest, I mean, thinking that, oh, I want to make the best possible manga ever, or what? What was your mindset?
It was kind of, excuse me for like yelling. I was kind of like, oh my god, 3 days. Oh, and I was like, I gotta get it done. I gotta
Yeah.
submit. I said I would submit something, so I gotta submit something. So
Mm.
it was I was
Oh,
too focused
yeah.
on the time to be worried about whether it was good or not. I was like,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
it was
And
along those
also,
lines.
is it? I think is it a bit connected to you say, okay, I did say I was gonna submit, so I gotta submit it now. So it's like that people pleasing part, I guess.
It is the people pleasing part. It's like I said I would do this, so I'm going to do it. I can't let people down.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Okay,
it's definitely a
there
character
is
flaw.
yeah, not a character flaw, but there is some merit to it, I guess, in this case, you know, because it got you to do something and it got you to submit to a manga contest. So in this case, like, it has some merit, you know. So I'm glad you did, and I'm sure our coaches are super glad that you did as well. All right, and how has it been like, you know, just learning from our coaches, learning from our pro mangaka mentors, and how has it changed the way you approach just storytelling now?
It's definitely it's definitely makes me think more critically about what it is that I'm doing and why I'm thinking about it and approaching it with a lot more like structure. Because before it was always just like my my poorly or my poor intuition like guiding all my decisions that I would make. It's like, oh, I kind of like this. Oh, I'm biased towards this, so this is what I want to do. But when you actually show it to somebody who knows what they're doing, they ask you, well, why are you doing this? Especially if they're like, this is bad. Why did you do it? You're like, oh man, why am I doing this? It's definitely so you definitely look at like the Kisho Tenketsu. You look at you look at character more critically. Like, why is this character here? What is he doing? And then you look at your scenes more critically. It's like, I know what's going on, but can my readers know what's going on? Is this camera angle portraying the character correctly to provoke the emotion that I want to? It's just looking at things with a more critical eye and like actually breaking down the decisions that you make when before I didn't realize I was making those decisions. So
Mm,
definitely, yeah, just a more critical view on on the writing and using like known and like using things that work and
yeah.
knowing why they work.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why we're getting feedback from professionals in the first place, right? Because they know what they're talking about and they've
Mm-hmm.
had the experience. They've had the years of experience to back them up. With that said, I know sometimes the critique can get harsh, and I know that I've talked to a lot of students who felt like, damn, sometimes felt discouraged because the standard is high when you're working with a professional, right? Because they have to teach you what the standard is because that's what you signed up for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're teaching you to the best of their abilities, and the best of their abilities is already like industry level, you know? So how has it been like? Have you ever felt discouraged at any point by getting reviewed or by the critiques?
Yes, I have. I
Mm.
felt really discouraged at one point. Actually, most recently, I felt really discouraged.
Aw.
A lot of things were not going well
Yeah.
outside of the course. I'm like, I'm feeling really down. I'm like, oh man,
Mm.
nothing's working out. And then I got reviewed by the editor that we have on the team,
Yeah.
Miss, and she kind of just asked, why did you do this? Like, this is worse than the first thing that you submitted to me. Like, this was wrong, or this was the wrong move to make, or you didn't like interpret my critiques correctly. And I was like, dang, I can't
Aw.
believe I've made such a grave error. How can I ever come back from this? I felt really down for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, well, now you know to
Yeah.
maybe pay a little bit more attention. I think it's just because sometimes when I get a little bit pushback, like maybe I'm too quick to like throw up my hands in the air and like, oh, let's just try
Oh.
something new. um
Mm.
and that um that made me really think like, okay, I just need to really focus in on the advice, really trust the advice that I'm being given, and execute.
Yeah.
That's all I have to do despite whatever's going on. I just have to execute. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yes.
I think the way people respond to critique is actually pretty vital.
Mhm.
Um, if you want to get anywhere, just like in any career, in any industry, I mean, how you handle feedback and how you handle critique is really important. It's really key because I think it is a lot of people, I know a lot of like motivational speakers or hype um men online will often give you the advice that you shouldn't feel discouraged by critique because it's there to help you. But I submit that it's okay to feel down and to feel discouraged for a certain amount of time, not forever. I mean, allow yourself the time to feel like, oh, damn, I should have done this. I should have done this. Because that allows you the time and the space to think of what could have been. And I know as an overthinker myself, I'm always thinking of what ifs, what could have been, what it like I could have done this in this situation. I could have done this. I could have done this. While if you keep doing that and not do anything after it, that's what makes that sort of habit like toxic. Like if you just keep pondering and if you just keep thinking, what if I could have done this, I could have done this, and just keep thinking about it and not do anything about it, then it's not productive. So there is some merit in overthinking, you know, only if you actually make a plan once you've overthinked. You make a plan and you bounce back, right? And you think, okay, now that I've thought everything through, what do I do moving forward? Right? And I think that's important. And I think that's where you are right now, right? You're still working on your one shots. I've seen I've seen your latest post on the group. You're still making things. You're still making pages. You're still storyboarding. You're still drafting your one shot, you know? And I think that's what's important, really. I mean, just move on from the negative critique and just keep moving forward. And yeah, that was a reference, you guys. That was a Meet the Robinsons reference. If you've ever seen Meet the Robinsons, I definitely suggest that you guys check that out. And yeah, that's what's important, you guys. And then as I was saying, Michael, you'd already been making your 20 to 30 page one shot, right? That's a project that you've been working on. At least that's what your coaches have told me. And you've also started making another two-page manga, right? So how do you pace yourself when tackling these sorts of projects? Because I know you started with like yonkomas, right? And that's just four panel mangas. So what after making a couple of yonkomas, what made you decide, okay, next is the two-page? And at what point did you felt like you were ready to move on to the next level?
Um, I think let me think on this. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, go
Um,
ahead.
yeah. So I think it was when I felt more confident. At first, I felt lost, but as I started doing the Yonkamas and the two pagers, I was like, okay, this is like I started feeling more confident. Like when I go and I start storyboarding, I feel confident about my drawings, or I feel confident about my process that I've developed in order to make these pages. And uh and it was just I had the confidence that when I had the goal, it's like, oh, I have this story that I think I can tell in 2 pages. So it's going to be two
Mm,
pages long. Oh, I think I have something that could be more than 2 pages. And I ideated like maybe like three different one shot ideas. And I was just like, okay, I think, I think I can write this out, write the beat sheet, come up with 30 pages. And it's just like, I know that I have skills that are acceptable to me,
no.
that I can push, I can tackle it, and that I know that I can eventually reach the finish line. And
Yeah.
because I had already taken the leaps of faith earlier,
Yeah.
so now it's no longer a leap of faith. It's just knowing it's an eventuality. Like this will happen.
Yeah.
Um, I just need to just put in the time, and the whole time management thing. I sometimes I work a lot. I remember when I did the one of the 2 pages earlier, I was working like 60-hour weeks, and then I come home and I spend time with my wife because I didn't want her to feel neglected, and so I was just like I was sacrificing a lot of sleep. But one of the things I learned is that if you sacrifice sleep, you sacrifice the next day, because you're just going to be so unproductive. It doesn't matter if you give yourself 2 more extra hours, you're going to lose 8 uh, tomorrow. And so it was the proper sleep schedule. And then it was also just being very strict about setting time. Like, I know I'm going to come home from work at this time. I know I'm going to do these things. And then during this window, like, I am just going to sit down and I'm going to start doing something. I'm going to start doing my
Yeah.
drawings. I'm going to start working on my storyboard just to get started and get the ball rolling. And when I really focus on that and like set the time, these are the 2 hours I want to work. When I start working, I feel like that helps me enter into the flow state, and just enjoy doing what it is that I'm doing and not really think too harshly of myself while doing it.
Yeah. I think the point you brought about like figuring out your schedule, right? And figuring out a time when you can work on it. So I think the time that you have available in your daily schedule is important when you start planning out what projects to tackle, right? So that said, you felt like, okay, you could afford to tackle a two-pager or a four-pager, now that you've made a couple of yonkomas, you felt like, okay, I have the time, and now I'm gonna make a dedicated effort to actually work on it. And I think that's what's really important is that planning it out and making sure you find the time for it is really important if you really want to make progress. So I'm really glad that you managed to do that. And then another thing that I was also wondering is I've been reading your mangas, right? And I think at least a couple of them have been just day-to-day depictions of like scenes in your life, I guess. And some of
Yes.
them have been like magical girl stuff or like fantasy stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I would say then. So, what kind of manga do you hope to create in the future? Like, it's still within that same line of manga where it's like slice of life fantasy, or would you ever want to do something different?
I think I think I have a couple answers to this. I'm not
Mm.
married to any particular genre. I think I have like an overarching goal, a short-term goal, and then like my very silly, this is my dream of I had $1 million in an infinite time. This is what I would do.
Mm.
And the big dream is that like, you know, since or at least I'm trying to have a child and having kids and then thinking about the future. I want to be able to, write stories that influence the cultural zeitgeist to make the world something closer to the ideal world that I want, to my for my child to grow up in, because media really does affect the perceptions of everybody in the world, or who at least partake of it, and that those perceptions affect the world. And so really it's just like, I really want that the messages and the ideas move the world closer to what my ideal would be, for my
Mm.
children. The short-term goal is that I would like to be good enough and expressive in any kind of, in my art, so that any kind of genre that I write, I can reach those like peak, emotional like points, right? Whether it's a
Yeah.
really touching moment in a romance or a slice of life, or like absolute excitement in action, or absolute terror and horror. It's like I want to be able to get to the point where I can hit those beats in those stories. And then if I had infinite time and infinite money and did not care what anyone had to
Yeah.
say, I would just draw mecha all the time. Just I love Gundam, and I just draw mecha,
Nice.
even though it's super unpopular. It's like it's be something I would do a whole bunch. But yeah,
I never got that from you because I've never seen any mecha art from you, at least
it's
in
it's
the
uh
group.
it's because I'm too afraid to try right now. So we'll
Ah.
get there.
Even fan art or even doodles, I think it's worth it to try. That would be so cool. I would definitely look out for
I,
that if you
I
do
would.
post.
It's just one of those things. Like I love it so much, it's too sacred to tarnish. It's just
Ah,
it's too sacred to
yeah.
tarnish with my clumsy hands. But no, I'll definitely try. I need to work on like perfecting my like simple geometric shapes in
Yeah.
perspective, because that's like what mecha is, right? It's just a lot of very straight, precise geometric shapes, and like trying to get that down. So
Yeah.
I need to do more practice, but it's definitely a goal eventually.
Yeah, side question. I'm sorry. Do you
Mhm.
collect Gundams?
Do I have Gunpla? No. Have I thought about
Ah.
spending ludicrous amounts of money on it? Yes. But financially, I don't think I could afford or survive if I
Honest. Yeah,
started
yeah, yeah,
collecting
yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's a pricey hobby to get into.
Oh
But
yeah.
I personally have been really interested, honestly, just the building aspect of it. I'm really
Hmm.
interested in. And also just I think there are I can roughly recall there are some that you can paint, I believe. I'm
Yes,
not
there
sure.
are
Yeah.
many videos on YouTube of people
Yeah.
like painting and customizing their
Yeah.
gunpla that are like an hour
Yeah.
long, and God knows how much time they spent on it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, but it is such an interesting thing. Gundam is such a huge thing. If you guys aren't like familiar with how like huge the fandom is for Gundam, it's a pretty big thing, honestly. A lot of people collect Gunpla, and it's just again, but it's just a really pricey hobby to get into. That's why I just watch tutorials. And I just watch build tutorials basically. But yeah. So yeah, I think I definitely see you making Gundam manga, honestly. I think it would be so cool. I don't think anyone else in the program has made mecha
I
manga at
saw
least.
one picture, I think, at one point. I can't
Yeah.
recall who, but yes, I don't
Oh.
think mecha is very popular.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's just hard. I think it's hard.
It
I
is.
think the
I
difficulty
cry.
level and also people are just have this predisposition towards mecha where it's like, ah, that's hard. That looks like it's hard to draw. I mean, it's cool to look at, but just drawing it is it's intimidating, which I totally get. I 100% get that. So, yeah. So, fair to say that that's definitely a dream project then.
Yes.
All right. All right. All right. All right. So, what's one thing you've learned that you wish you knew earlier in your manga journey then?
Um, I think I think the thing that I wish I learned earlier was how to learn how to draw.
Yeah.
Um, because it's, you know, it's no one is there, especially if you don't have a mentor, right? No one is there to tell you how you're supposed to learn these things, right? And when you start, you have like 1,000 videos on
Yeah.
YouTube, and maybe you spend 10 hours watching tutorials, and then, you know, not even 30 minutes actually drawing. And but I think Art Wad has a really good video on this, and but basically just saying, like, you take and you learn one thing, and then you apply that one thing as many times as you can, which is very difficult for me because I feel like I have like ADD or something. And so if I focus for too long on one thing, I just absolutely lose my mind.
Uh,
But taking it, so like when, for example, this anatomy stuff, I'm just like, at first I started too big and I was like, oh, I'm going to try to learn the whole body. And then I was like, I can't actually do this. There's too many things for me to focus on. So I'm going to focus on one thing. And I was like, I'm just going to focus on the legs, and not even the foot, just the leg. Um, and it's like, okay, I want to focus on the leg. I want to learn all the muscles and the connections to it, and then I'm going to draw a bunch of different pictures from reference using what I learned from drawing those legs, and then I want to draw from imagination.
mm,
And so it was like, take the one thing, use it as far as you can take it, and then and to really cement it into your mind, because if
yeah.
you learn something and you never use it and never play with it and never experiment with it, um you can't, it doesn't really stick with you. And
Yeah.
so I think that was the first thing I wish I knew, because then if I knew that when I was younger, I feel like I would have learned that way when I was younger and improved a lot more and enjoyed the learning process instead of what felt like banging my head against the wall of like,
Yeah.
oh, I've drawn this eye 1,000 times. Why isn't my eye getting better? Um,
Yeah.
Something along those
Yeah.
lines.
I think I know a lot of beginners. I know a lot of people actually. A lot of my friends are artists, and a lot of them hated learning. Just when they first started, like they were like, granted they were like 12, 13, like prepubescent ages where
Mhm.
they just had no patience for anything, and just they hated learning how to draw when they first started, because a lot of a lot of the sources that they used, at least a lot of them were YouTube kids. Like
Mhm.
they just watched tutorials on YouTube, and they were super boring, they would tell me. Super boring, and just it was always just repetitive. That's the key word there. Like learning how to draw at first is repetitive, because it's trying to train your hand to get used to how to draw a head, how to draw like anatomy, how to draw hands, how to draw like body parts, you know? A lot of it is just training your hand to be familiar with it, familiarize it, be familiar with it. Sorry, I got there eventually. But because they were so focused on just trying to get it right, that they forgot to find the enjoyment, find some enjoyment in it, right? So I think why a lot of people give up early on is because they just hate the learning process. You know, it's boring, it's hard, especially if you've never drawn before, and it's repetitive again. And you gotta find some joy as you're learning. So you take a break, draw your favorite character or whatever in your free time, or maybe just go wild and draw something abstract that's not 100% accurate, you know, just something that you enjoy personally. I think that's what's really important when you're going through like a learning process. Um being able to take breaks and just trying to enjoy that process as well. It's really important if you just want to keep going and not give up halfway through. So yeah, I think you brought up a really good point, Michael, about trying to enjoy the process, right? And I think that's something that you guys should all take away, right? Is try to enjoy the process while you can. And just try not, again, keep that passion alive just so you don't give up halfway through, you know? So, what would you say, Michael, to someone who wants to make manga but is hesitating for whatever reason?
um, I know we said it was a cliche earlier, but it's one of those things of
Yeah.
like just do it. Like accept the fact that you will suck. You are bad at it. Of course you're bad at it. Like you've never done it before. You're not going to be good at it. And one of the things is that how boring would it be if you were perfect at it and had nowhere to go afterwards? Because I think when I started this, one of the things that I learned is like how exciting it is to
Yeah.
know that I can get better and to know that there are things for me to learn and for things for me to always work on. Like at first that kind of sounds like a drag, like, oh, I'm always going to have to be learning, I'm always going to have to like be working on something. But I think when you first get hooked on the sense of improvement, like I got somewhere where I wasn't. It's really exciting to learn that there that can continue on forever, and that there's always like this new thing that you can learn, or this new way that you can improve. And I don't know. I just found that super exciting. I found that the idea super fun, even though it's hard work sometimes. Sometimes it's a drag, but it's just there's always another high, always a new place for me to go. So yeah, it's just exciting, and I love the idea.
Yeah, great words to end on, honestly. And I hope you guys keep that with you. And I hope that's something that you take away from this interview, right? And thank you so much, Michael, for answering all of our questions. But there will be more questions later on. But in the meantime, you guys, if you guys are just tuning in, or if this is something that you missed throughout the interview, Michael is actually one of the students in our one shot manga drawing program. And yes, we do have a program. It's a program dedicated to teaching you everything that you need to know how to make and finish your first one-shot manga, because one-shots are actually a really important milestone in any mangaka's career. So if you want to seriously become a mangaka, or if you actually want to seriously pursue just making manga, then a one shot is something that you're gonna have to make at some point. You know, I mean, every single major manga series that you can think of, like One Piece, Dragon Ball, Naruto, Attack on Titan, they all started as one shots. And before that, before the one shots for these big series, a lot of iconic mangakas, a lot of iconic pro mangakas like Oda and Toriyama, they all made one shots before they ever got big or before they ever debuted, you know. And it's something, again, it's something that you're gonna have to learn. So our goal in the program is to empower more aspiring manga artists like Michael, like you, and we've been working with students through our one-shot manga drawing program membership these last few months. And you've all gotten to know Michael and his progress in just the short period that he's been with us. And here's what the rest of our students had to say and what their progress has been in the program, right? So we have our student Charisse, who we interviewed on the channel a couple of months back, and when Charisse started making manga, she'd actually just been making doujinshis or fan manga of Dragon Ball, I believe. And for the longest time, she'd just been making fan art and didn't really know how to properly make manga until she joined our program. And she's made so much progress and made multiple one shots already in just a span of 2 months. And on screen, this was her progress in just a single month. Like this was her one of the first mangas that she ever posted on the program here on the left, and on the right is these are a couple of her yonkomas that she's already made since then. And they're much more dynamic, have much more detailed backgrounds, and uh, even effects and screen tones and speed lines, you know? So it's been super nice seeing Sharice's progress in the program so far. And we also have our student Joe. I briefly mentioned Joe earlier. Joe is one of our students who actually took a 5 year hiatus from drawing. And he just got back into drawing when he joined our program this year. And this is what he had to say. I think I've gotten better at explaining my ideas better as of late. And it's been super nice seeing someone find their passion and their joy for drawing again, you know. And as you can see, like Joe has made so much progress already. Joe's actually gotten into the groove of just making yonkomas and making short mangas, 2 page and 4 pagers. And it's been so nice seeing him just get into the grind of things, you know. And yeah, I'm so proud. We're all so proud. And we also have our student Takari, who has improved so much since joining, right? This was her SMA submission, I think back in 2024 here on the left, and this is her latest 2 page manga here on the right, and it's so much more dynamic, so much more depth to her scenes, right? And this is what she had to say. I looked over my previous SMA submission that I finished before joining this course, comparing pages with my recent manga. It's very clear that I learned a lot. And last year, I didn't know what screen tone is or how to do paneling and didn't know much about perspective and anatomy. And I struggled literally with everything. It was a pain. And this time I already knew what I needed to do and I had a refined process and it was much easier, especially with the help of coaches. And it's super happy to see Takari make so much progress again, as for all of our students, you know. And lastly, we also have one of our students, Eduardo, who had I think well the most experience before joining us. I mean, Eduardo had been making manga before joining the program, and he had joined manga contest. He joined the manga silent manga edition prior to joining us. But after going through that experience, submitting his work to a contest, he got feedback from that contest, and they told him that he had to improve his storytelling and his visual storytelling in particular. And that's what led him to our program, right? And this is what he had to say. I reached a new level of detail and characterization, learned more about backgrounds and how to be more creative about doing things against a deadline. And the mentors always give way better feedback to my works than I would, and they generally want us to do a good job. All right. You could also check out Eduardo's manga. It's up on Manga Plus Creators. It's a fun read. So if you guys want to check it out after this interview, I highly recommend. So, you've seen our students' results, you guys, and you've read how happy they are with the community and guidance from our mentors. And you've also learned about Michael in this interview. So now my question is, do you want in too? Just type I want in chat. If you think that this is something for you, just type I want in. If this is something that you want to do, and this is making manga is something that you want to pursue seriously and you want to make progress like our students in the program, just type I want in chat. I'd love to see anyone who's interested before we move on. Yeah. Anime lover wants in. Anime lover has been saying that they want it in for the last couple of live streams, and it's super nice to see them still being enthusiastic about it. Love to see it. Weber wants in. TMNT fan wants in. Um, Murasaki wants in. All right, it's Empress wants in. LA Rat. Yeah, I know LA Rat has been a repeat viewer on the channel, and they've been wanting in, but they're just underage, so sucks. Sorry. But yeah, just keep practicing. As I tell you every live stream, LA Rat, just keep practicing. You still have time. Not moat, I want in. Yep. Say wants in. Um, who else wants in? I'd love to know. Just don't be afraid to speak up, you guys, in chat. Nelson, I want to improve my art style too. That's a good thing to aspire towards. Definitely. I hope you managed to do that, Nelson. Who else? Okay, Liz wants in. And Raquel, wait for me, Candace. Okay, I'll wait for you then, Raquel. I hope to see you in the program soon then. All right. Love the passion. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else nerdy? Do you want in? Anyone else who wants in? I mean, you guys, if you guys want in, I would really love to know just so I could give you guys a shout out. Anime lover, my schedule is slowly evening out so I can join. Oh, are you gonna be applying to the program then? My goodness. I'm looking forward to seeing you then. Or are you already in the program? Sorry. Sometimes I know students watch the lives, but I can't recognize them in chat because they have a different username. So if you're a student, let me know so I can properly address you. But yeah. Owl. Owl? I'm just gonna call you Owl. Wants in, but I can't. Okay. Murasaki, I'd barge in. Please do. I mean, if you have the means and if you're not underage, then take a shot. Apply. All right. Anime well, probably soon, but not in the program yet. Okay, I'll be waiting for you, anime lover. Then. All right. Robertson wants in. All right, so a good amount of people in chat want in. So for those of you guys who just said that they want in, if you want to make your time doing art more meaningful and more productive, then our one-shot manga drawing program is for you because we're on a mission to accelerate your growth all while having fun learning together, and you will have amazing pro mangaka mentors to guide you, right? And first up is our mentor now, Yazawa. Now, Yazawa Sensei, she's a professional Japanese mangaka with over 30 years of experience in the industry, and she's also the creator behind the iconic magical girl manga Wedding Peach, which actually got turned into an anime back in the 90s. So yeah, Yuzawa Sensei has had her manga turned into an anime. And aside from that, she's also authored her own how to draw manga books and is currently teaching at a manga school in Tokyo. And we also have our amazing mentor, Rena Saya. Now, Rena Sensei is also a Tokyo-based professional Japanese mangaka with over 20 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry, and she's also authored 12 books with the Japanese publisher Shogakukan, and is currently a freelance manga artist and teaches at a manga school in Tokyo. And we also have the amazing pro webtoon artist Steph Pastrano, who is an illustrator known for his amazing anime and manga fan art, and is currently working on his own webtoon. And we also have the latest addition to our roster of mentors, Vivi, who is a pro manga editor with over 10 years of experience in the industry. And she's also worked with publishers like Coamix, who is the host behind the largest international manga competition, the Silent Manga Edition. And she's also worked with Kadokawa, who is the publisher behind Bungo Stray Dogs and Lucky Star, if you're familiar. So yeah, it's been super exciting having Vivi on board and giving feedback to our students about their ongoing one shots. And it's been fun just learning from her, and you can too if you guys apply. And if you do manage to apply and join the program, for our most committed and high performing students in our program, they get to fly to Japan on an all expense paid trip and attend Comitia, a top indie manga convention in Tokyo. So, if you do really well in the program, you can get a chance to fly to Japan, you guys. And once you get that chance, you can actually pitch your manga directly to Japanese publishers and editors at Comitia. And you could also publish your manga in our official Learn to Draw manga anthology that we have coming up. All right, lots of exciting opportunities in the program as of late. So I hope you guys join so that you guys can get a chance to actually um have these opportunities, and just so you know, please remember, we're not just taking in anyone. We want to work with aspiring manga artists who want to be empowered. So, this program is for you if you're at least 18 years old and comfortable writing and speaking in English, and you're a beginner who wants to learn how to draw manga and start telling your own stories, and you have a passion for manga and dream of getting published or winning contests with your original work, and you're seeking confidence and a supportive community to share your art and grow as a manga artist. So, if this sounds like you, then I invite you to apply and join our one shot manga drawing program. Again, we're only accepting applicants who are 18 years old and above. So, this is it, you guys. The moment of truth. Apply now. All right. The link is in the description. I'm gonna send the link real quick in chat. So this is your opportunity to apply and actually start making
Essentials.
progress towards making your first manga if you've never made a manga before, or if you've never finished a manga before, then this could be something that could help you. A lot of the people who have joined our program before, they never finished a manga, but when they finally joined the program, they finally did finish a project. So having people like mentors and coaches make sure that you're on the right track is a great boost. It's a great motivational factor, especially when you're trying to make significant progress, so having people to keep you in check and keep you accountable is really important. And it's really nice if those people actually have industry experience and they're actual professionals and they know what they're doing, right? So it's nice to have that sort of mentorship to really guide you through it, just so you know, okay, I know exactly what to do, and I'm not doubting whether or not this is what I should be doing in the first place, because this is advice straight from professionals who know exactly what they're talking about, and they've gone through the entire learning process as like you did at some point early in their careers, you know. So, if you want to join our students like Michael in their manga journey, achieving milestones that you haven't reached yet, and finally start making your manga, then I do encourage you guys to apply. Or at least if you don't want to apply right away, you can check out our previous videos on our channel if you want to learn more about how to make manga, or if you just want to learn about the program. You could also watch any of our previous live replays. We have a couple of workshops on the channel and a couple of previous interviews that we've had with previous students on the channel as well. So if you just want to learn more about the program and everyone else's experiences, then you can do your research and just check out the channel. Or you could also check out our website, learntodrawmanga.com, to learn more about our mentors and about just the curriculum in general, you know. So, yeah, in the meantime, I will be opening the floors to questions from you guys. So if you guys have a question for Michael, feel free to send them in chat. If you sent a question earlier, that might have been buried already at this point, so please resend them in chat so that I can see them right away. All right. Okay, we have a question from LA Rat. LA Rat asks, what if an adult represents you in the program? I mean, I think I've already mentioned this earlier at, but you can try to apply. Okay, but you can still apply. Like, applying is free. It's 100% free. But I can't guarantee that you'll get a call or you'll um be considered. Okay, even if you do have an adult representing you, because it's not the adult representing you who's going to be learning how to make manga. It's going to be you. So, even if you have an adult vouching for you and an adult like consenting on your behalf, um, you're still going to be going through the program just by yourself because you're the one who's learning. And we've had experiences where people just don't take well to criticism, and we just want to be safe and make sure that people are equipped and mature enough to accept criticism. So that's why we don't take people who are underage. Okay. So, and also, if you're underage, you're most likely still in school. So focus on school. You know, this going to a manga attending a manga course is something that you can think about after you finish school, so stay in school, kids. All right, we have another question from Weber. How did he come up with his ideas? I think Michael Weber's question is mostly just how do you come up with ideas for your mangas, I guess.
Deep shower thoughts. In reality, I think most of it is it's nothing new. Like there's nothing new under the sun, so I don't really feel pressured on being like, oh, I'm gonna come up with a completely original idea. Mostly, it's just taking things that like I like and I like. Here's this character that I like, or here's the situation that I like, or this like context to a scene, and like I kind of just want to throw it in and like mix it up and play with the idea to see where it just where it goes. Because I don't come up with the finished idea or the finished storyboard on the first try. It takes multiple iterations, and so I could take one iteration and it's like, okay, let's like make this totally different, or let's change this one thing, and eventually you kind of just like wiggle your way towards like the final idea that you like, because most ideas don't survive like the first pass anyway, but you go through many iterations and eventually you come up with something like, okay, I accept this. This is good.
Yeah. I think with that process you said about like reiterations, I mean, just keep reiterating until you get to a point where, okay, this is good, So I think that's a process that a lot of creators go through, honestly. So some people find it taxing, some people find it like, oh, it's taking too long, I'm still not satisfied with anything that I've gotten up to this point. And I think, what would your advice be then, Michael? Had you ever had an idea where, okay, this is good, but you're still not 100% satisfied with it, but you still went with it, so like, um what is your mindset going into that?
I think most of the time it's that one story that I think I've heard like 100 times about that one
Yeah.
professor pottery class. and he has one set of students make the one perfect pot, and he has one set of students just make as many pots as they can. And
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where you just, if you just keep doing it and keep pumping it out, it's like, okay, I'm not 100%, but realize that you're not going to be 100% on a lot of things, especially in the beginning. You just keep, if you just keep putting out work, generally your, the level of your work and the level of your ideas elevate, and you'll become more satisfied with it in time, and your results will be better. And so I just accept that, the work that I put out is like a gotcha game, and I'm just gambling on my
Yeah.
drawings, whether they're going to come out
Yeah.
good, or it's like, am I going to get an SSR drawing this time, or an SSR idea, or is it just going to be SR? And the only way to get more SSRs is just to keep on gambling, keep on rolling on it.
Okay.
So it's kind of
Uh,
like that.
that's a fun way to tackle it for sure. I mean, that's the first time I've heard something like that where when you're coming up with ideas, am I gonna get like an SSR output or like an SSR idea or something like that. I think that's fun. That's a fun way to look at it. Is like coming up with ideas is kind of like a gotcha system where you're gonna get shitty items or you're gonna get like shitty outputs, but there are gonna be some moments where you come up with something that's actually good and that you can be satisfied with.
Yes,
All
credit
right.
to PCAT for that one.
Oh, all right. And question from who else? Oh, Leanna. Hopefully I'm saying this right. What's your process for coming up with a manga protagonist, Michael?
Usually, I mean, I guess there's two ways you can look at it. Like, you can either
Yeah.
do it organically or do it kind of like through structured means. I find it easiest to do it through a structured way of like, okay, here's the plot. What kind of character do I need to make the plot work?
Mm,
I think is the easiest way for me, because maybe I think very analytically. Um, but if I'm trying to do it organically, what I try to do, not that I that I'm successful in doing it, but what I try to do is like, what does my character want, and then what does he really need? And I think, those two questions tell you a lot about the character, where all the other details kind of just like fill in. And as you kind of reiterate on the idea or on the character, and you like put them in situations in a story or in your mind, like the little details kind of come naturally. So I think those are like the two ways that I think about it.
all right. And I hopefully that answers your question, Leanna. And a question from Tora about one of our workshops. Is the logline Zoom training you posted 5 days ago only for 18 people, 18 plus? Yes, it is, Tora. Sadly, all of our workshops are just 18 plus, unfortunately. So, we have another question. Weber, how did he balance manga and aviation? How did you find the time then, Michael?
um it's just one thing at a time, I guess.
Yeah.
um I mean, drawing is, I draw on an iPad. So I
Mm,
think that's probably been like the greatest like equipment upgrade that I've ever done, because I just take it
yeah.
with me to work. And if I have a time where like work is just either not happening, or I just have like a break, like I'll draw on the iPad. I think it's made it drawing most accessible, to me at all times. And when I fly, I use an iPad as well. Um, and mostly it's just being pretty strict with your scheduling, like,
Yeah.
and just knowing, trying to, or at least trying to set up systems in your life where you know what time you can expect to do certain things.
All right. Hopefully that answers your question, Weber. And we have a question from Anime Lover. How did Trisha start learning to draw manga and find so many amazing mentors to help? Trisha is actually based in Japan. She lives in Japan. I think she has been living in Japan for like the past 10 years now. So, yeah. And Trisha met our mentors who are in Japan and based in Japan, while she was attending conventions, I believe. So that's where she connected with our mentors just by attending manga conventions. And yeah, our mentors luckily were already teaching at that point, I believe. So they were 100% open to just teaching more people online. And fortunately, they spoke the English, you know? So it was just a stroke of luck that Trisha managed to find like amazing mentors who could communicate in English and actually teach in English, you know? So yeah, it was very serendipitous. Trisha meeting our mentors. All right. Who else? We'll have one last question before we end today's live, you guys, because this is running pretty long now that I realize. All right. One last question. One last question. Okay. I think this is a good question that I would love to get your thoughts on, Michael. Like, how did you find your art style? Like, what did you focus on, or what did you try to do to try to find your art style?
Um, I wouldn't say I have a style. I just have mistakes I haven't corrected yet.
Aw.
But yeah, I think that just came naturally. I think how your hand and your eye develops is always going to be really unique to you.
Mm,
So you can just what I would say is focus on learning how to do realism first because that is actually a lot easier than to develop style. And then
mm,
you will naturally develop stylistic choices that you make from realism because you have to start from
yeah,
realism as the base. Stylistic choices that you make that you like and that you see from other artists. And if you really want to like hone in on certain things, like you do like master studies, right? You pick out a couple pieces, try to figure out like why are they doing this, how are they doing it, and then you can incorporate that, but I think that just comes naturally of how your eye and your hand develops. You're like, oh, I like these things. I think I'm going to take these things. And then some of the things are just, you're just born with them. They're just in your genes. You can't help but to
yeah,
do it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm right now, I'm kind of just content. I'm not focused too much on my style. It's just is where it is at. Maybe I'll try to change it later. But that's just kind of just how I did it. I just did studies, realistic studies. I naturally made choices, and then for choices or for things I didn't know how to do, but I wanted incorporated, I did master studies.
yeah. And just my observations about Michael's style is that just looking through all of his artworks for while preparing for this interview, right? Like I noticed that he has a sharper lines, sharper angles, at least more angular, not sharper than, let's say like more angular ob like shapes, I would say. Like when I was looking through your artworks, I was thinking, oh, this is like shonen. Like this is something that I'd see like in a shonen, typical shonen manga, you know. So I think that's something that you do have to consider if you want to make manga is the kinds of stories you want to tell will often influence how you draw because if you want to draw shonen, that typically means you want to draw like action, adventure, and that usually means harsher, more bold, angular artwork, if you know what I mean. And it's more bombastic, it's more out there, it's more loud. Whereas for shoujo, like the line work is much more delicate, that's for sure. And there's a lot more moments of ma. So see, if you guys don't know what ma is, it's a Japanese concept where there's a lot of scenes where it's just silence and it's just characters just taking in and reacting to stuff, you know, and there's a lot of that in shoujo. So it's really an attention to expression is pretty stands out pretty much in shoujo where it's really expressive, it's really emotional. So your art has to reflect that, you know. So yeah, I think for Michael, like Do you think had you ever like have you ever figured out, okay, do I want to write like shoujo, shonen, like seinen manga, or is that something that you're still experimenting with and you're toying with as you learn?
Um, I I think I'm so early in that I would really like
Yeah.
to experiment and like try everything. Because
Mm,
you never know how you really feel about it until you're doing it.
yeah.
I think I would love to be able to develop the hyper realistic, hyper rendered like seinen kind of art style, and then
Mm,
and then you start like rendering things for hours and you're
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I hate my life, I wish I could just draw
Oh,
something quick and bold. And
yeah.
I think that's why I'm kind of like leaning towards the way that I am now. It's because it's just like, shojo, the angular, the sharp, the bold lines are actually are at least for me easier to do
Yeah.
and more enjoyable process than like, okay, I'm going to spend the next 5 hours of my life hatching this one panel. It's like,
I
oh boy.
mean, I mean, I think I don't want to like stereotype, but I think a lot of the seinen authors or seinen mangakas that I know of, some of them are pretty tortured, if you know what I mean. Like Takehiko Inoue, like the mangaka behind Vagabond. If you guys know Vagabond, like Vagabond is super like hyper realistic, and also the mangaka behind Berserk. I forget his name. Oh my god, I'm a fake fan. Wait,
Was
the
it
manga
Miyazaki? I think.
Kentaro Miura.
Nope, never mind.
Yeah, Kentaro Miura. Sorry, you guys. So Kentaro Miura, Berserk is also a bit hyper realistic in a sense that there's it is fantasy, but the style Miura's style is so detailed, and you can imagine how much time I can no I can't even imagine how much time it takes for him to just render his illustrations and his spread pages, his splash pages, because they're super detailed, and it's always fun just zooming in and seeing like how much detail he's put into it. And I imagine he spends so much time. Both of them, like Inoue and Miura, they're kind of tortured artists in that sense, where they're just like, oh, they're super talented, but also it just takes them so much time. But that's the thing that you sacrifice for art. If you want, if with artists at that level, it's just the type of standard that you gotta aspire towards, like for every single chapter that you put out. And yeah, it's really hard. And if you want to go with a super hyper realistic style, then you have your work cut out for you because that is going to be like a challenge. But I really like how that's something that you aspire towards, Michael, because that is something that I think a lot of beginners want to get to at some point, where they create a manga that just looks super cool. I mean, a lot of beginners who even start in our program, the whole reason why they even started is because they just want to make something that looks cool. And like super hyper realistic mangas like Vinland Saga, Berserk, Vagabond, they all look super cool. And it's nice to see people have a vested interest in manga because of it. So, yeah, with that said, you guys, that is all the time we have for today for our live. If you guys have time, please make sure to check out our previous live streams on the channel and our videos on the channel as well. We just put up a video last night, so make sure to check that out. And you make sure to check out Michael as well. Michael doesn't have any pages yet. He hasn't been publishing any of his work yet, but I'm just leaving this reminder for you guys because I am going to be posting an announcement whenever Michael does um post his work or actually has a page eventually. So yeah, if you guys want to check out more of Michael's works, then you can tune back into this replay if you want to check in and see if Michael's already has a page or whatever. So yeah, make sure to check out Michael. And Michael, do you have anything you want to say to our YouTube audience for today? Any last words, any parting words?
Yeah, I look forward to any new people joining the program, and also to just, put your head down and do it and trust yourself that you can reach the finish line. I think that is the most important thing that I've learned, is that you can trust yourself to reach the finish line.
Right. So thank you so much, Michael. Really nice words to end on. And I hope you guys keep that with you as well. And another thing that I just want to leave with you guys too is I want you guys to think what you guys will be tomorrow if you finally start making manga today, you know. There's this saying that goes, I think, the best time to start was yesterday, the second best time to start is today. So, if you start today, can you picture yourself perhaps like 2, 3 months from now, like Michael? He's already gotten so much done. He's already finished a manga. He's finished multiple mangas and he's already joined a manga contest. And that's just 2 months after like actually making progress on his manga, you know? So what would that be like if that were you? Like if that were you, just imagine what you could achieve in just like a month or 2 months or maybe 2 years even from now if you finally start and just do it finally, you know? So if you want to be like our students, if you want to finally make progress, then you can. Okay. It's not a question of whether you're good enough or not. It's not a question of whether um, you're meant to be doing this or not. It's really just a question of whether you're willing to do it. And if you're willing to take that leap of faith, because that's really all that you need is the will to do it. And if you have the will to do it and you have the passion for making manga, then that's all you need. So take the leap today. And I do encourage you guys to sign up to our one shot manga touring program, you guys. And that is it for our live today. I will be seeing you guys at our workshop next week. We will be having a logline workshop. We'll be teaching you guys how to make your pitch for your manga, and we will be reviewing pitches live next week. So make sure to check out our community tab for the announcement about that. So if you want to sign up to the workshop, then make sure to check out our community tab to find the link there. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us today, and I'll see you guys next week. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye, you guys. And we're done.